Welcome to About the Winelands. In this show, we will be chatting to influencers and leaders in the wine industry, winemakers, restaurants, and other businesses. Tune in every Wednesday and Friday for our latest episodes. You will find us on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcast, and Apple Podcast. Make sure you never miss our chat here on About the Winelands. Find the sign up link in the description. Now, let's get on with the show. I'm talking to Patrick Robertson from the Fishwives Club, which is a very interesting concept. Good morning, Patrick.
Good morning. Hi, well, thanks for getting me on.
It's our pleasure. I mean, I'd love to hear your story. Can you tell us a bit more about yourself and how you became involved with the wine industry?
Well, it's a long story. Besides the fact that I really enjoyed drinking wine, I knew very little about it. And for about 30 years, I've been involved in advertising and marketing. And my job over those 30 years was to launch brands, create brands, work on brands that are already existing. So I've worked around the world in London. I've worked on and I've worked in Joburg and Cape Town, and been lucky enough to work for some of the best agencies. And then I started up my own agency, and then I eventually decided I really need to get out of this business. It wasn't really resonating with me anymore, and I also didn't want to be part of the whole propaganda machine in that respect. If you read my story, it's a very long story on the website. It's not that long. It's about a half a glass of wine's worth, depending if it's red or white. It'll tell you what happened in my life that suddenly I had to change careers sooner than I expected. My whole life basically came crumbling down in 2012. So my world pretty much ended in 2012. And I was having to recover from, you build something in life and then it takes a very long time to build, and you can lose it in 24 hours. And I just decided, well, what am I going to do now? Because I've got no money, no place to stay, no anything. What am I going to do? And I don't want to do this career anymore. And you'll see it in the story, but it's on the website that I happened to go to a friend's old cantina. It's called Dee's Mexican Bistro. It's it's probably one of the smallest restaurants you've ever been in Hart Bay. And it was a stormy night, and it was winter, and I came across, there was two girls sitting there, and we were the only people, and I was by the fire, and we were the only people there. And we looked like we were all drowning our sorrows for whatever reason. And they had found out that I was a recovering creative director. And they came over, and because my friend who owned the cantina, Dion Schoen, he said, "Oh, Patrick, he's in advertising. He's a creative director. Maybe he can help you girls. So they came over and they showed me their portfolio on their little laptop, their little iPad that they had, and it was really bizarre because I thought, geez, these girls have talent. They were two young sisters and they were designers. And they had a real talent, and they were asking me like, how can they improve their business, because they just not seemed to getting the work that they wanted. And I came across a mock-up, what we call a mock-up of a wine bottle with this hastily put together lady on a fish. And I said, sure, is that real? And they said, no, it's just something we played with. And I said, wow. I'm so moved by this image. It's just such a strong, in all my years of being in advertising, the icon had so much magic, and it had a much deeper magic than I initially thought. I just knew, I was like, wow, this logo really hit me between the eyes.
Wow.
And I was sort of, I asked them, listen, can I ask you, I don't have any money. In fact, I don't even think I can even pay for this glass of wine that I'm drinking. Would you take this out of your portfolio and not show it to anybody, and would you let me buy the design from you? I'll need to work on it and take it a bit further, but I think I think I'm meant to have seen this design for some reason. And I didn't have any money. They said, sure, we'll take it out. And I said, I'll buy it from you, proper lock, stock, and barrel. And several months later, about 5 months later, I eventually bought the picture from them and started commissioning them and my ex-girlfriend, who's a fine artist. She just did the ladies, and the sisters did the fish and the typography. And then I commissioned them to do each label, but we started just with one. I started with a Sauvignon Blanc, and that's all I started with. And I'll just paraphrase the whole web story for you quickly, otherwise it'll take too long. But I went to like so many wineries. I spoke to wine.
You can talk. We have time.
Okay, and I went to so many winemakers, and I was with my housemate, and we had decided to start this together. But eventually, it was too much. He didn't want to do all the deliveries, so he just jumped out of the bucky and never came back. Because it's hard work when you deliver every single bottle yourself to the buyers, you know, to restaurant owners and stuff like that. So it was lots of hard work, and I had everything I made, any little bit of money I made, I had to put back into the, you know, printing more labels, and I was paying a premium because I was only buying small amounts because I didn't have money to buy large amounts and get the deal, you know. So I was paying premium for everything. And so basically what happened was I went to every winery and they just were like, yeah, you know, you need a lot of money, and, you know, do you have a wine farm? I said, no, I want you to make the wines for me. You guys are the experts. I just want to buy it from you. I want you to make it. But I want you to make a wine for women, for a woman's palate, for a woman's unique sense of style and taste.
Oh.
And they said, no, man, you know, look, you can buy some of our stock, you know. And I said, yeah, but, you know, I'm at the end of the day, I need to build this brand. I want someone to do it with me and help me with this. But I don't have any money. And then when they did hear that, then they didn't want to talk to me anymore. Because I had the idea, and I said, look, I really know that this idea will work. I just need someone to have faith in me. Of course, you know, these are dyed-in-the-wool farmers, and mostly, and they got it tough already. So I kind of worked my way back from the Swartland, Franschhoek, back through Stellenbosch. And then eventually I thought, you know, I don't think anyone's going to go for this, you know. I had created a whole ad campaign for it and everything. And I decided on my way home to Hart Bay, I was driving through Constantia, and I was pretty miserable. You know, I was like, I don't think this is going to work. It's a real pity, because I was certain that idea, you know, that logo, that icon was meant to be. I was meant to see that. Like, everything went off in my head like fireworks when I saw it. It was truly an amazing experience. I was really moved. And I decided, as I drove up towards Hart Bay, up Constantia Neck, I drove past the sign that said Baton Verwachting left. And I went, wow, I've never been to Baton Verwachting, and actually that's the closest winery, and I've just traveled hundreds of miles. It's actually the closest winery to my house. I may as well just go there and order a glass of wine and drown my sorrows. And I walked in and I ordered a glass of wine at the tasting room, and then I went to the loo. But at the winery, I asked, who's the owner here? And they said, no, it's a young man by the name of Lars Mark. I said, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to go to the loo. And they said, oh, well, you might bump into him. He's gone to the loo as well. I said, oh, okay. And sure enough, as I came out, he was coming out. As I went in, he was coming out. And I bumped into him, literally. And I grabbed his arm and I said, are you Lars Mark? And he said, yeah. And I said, look at this. And because I had no more words left, you know, I just had my iPad. And I just shoved the iPad under his face and said, look at that, tell me what you think. It was a picture of the wine bottle with the logo. Mock-up. But the way I had done it. And he stood there and he looked and he went, wow. In his German accent, he went, wow, this is sexy, huh? Our brand is boring, but this one is sexy. I like it. Where is it? So I said, it's not anywhere. I'm looking for somebody to help me make it. And we had a 6-hour meeting right then and there, right in his wine tasting room. And he said, I will help you with. And I went, I got no money. He said, that's okay, I got wine. And that's how it started, literally with Lars. And we are still on excellent terms. I mean, it's grown so significantly now that I had to move. And he said, no, he understands, because it was then eventually taking too much time on the bottling line. And they were under the, they're pumping. I mean, they're selling so much wine. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't get gaps that long, to bottle my wine. So it was starting to do really well. So I moved to Imbuco to Theunis van Sale. And he's done a phenomenal job, and he is the right fit for me now, because we now.
So just where are they, Patrick?
Well, they're in Wellington, and his estate is called Imbuco, and he started out supplying bulk wine. And that was perfect for me, because I thought, if I'm really going to become a global brand, like a world famous brand, and that's really what my focus really is. I know it sounds like a very big dream, but I want to be the most, and I will be the most recognizable wine brand. Because there's millions of wine brands, mm-hmm. but none that you can go, oh, that one. But yet you'll take champagne, and anyone can rattle off 3 or 4 brands that are famous.
Well, if you think about it, Champagne built their whole brand on marketing. They started off with the kings being coronated in Rheims. And from there, the marketers in Champagne were excellent. They just built on that whole heritage. They invented Dom Perignon as a myth. So, yeah.
Is that so? I didn't even know that it was built on the coronation of kings.
Oh, yeah. The whole, what happened is the city of Reims, the Reims Cathedral, is actually the place where all the kings from the first Franks King Clovis was coronated there. And it became fashion for all the kings to be coronated. And then obviously they drank the local wine, which was champagne. So it was sanctioned by the king, and in that way it became, it created the whole idea that it's a luxury brand, and the aristocracy actually embraced it. And then from there to Louis XIV, who really started, gave champagne a break, because he gave them the permission to the only wine in France to ship in bottles, not in casks, which kept the bubbles in. And then after that, Napoleon actually, started building champagne into a worldwide brand for the growers there. So yeah, all marketing.
So obviously, if it goes on a bottle, it has to have a label that becomes a brand, because a barrel won't have a label.
And the story, right? The story of Dom Perignon was totally a myth created by Moet. It's not.
I don't even know. I don't even know the story. I must go and research it. I don't even know.
I actually did a chat about that, like a solo chat about the whole history of champagne. That's why I know it now. But anyway, so let's go back to your story. But it just shows you, if you have a good story and a great brand, you can go places.
Well, the thing is, Will, I've been going now 7 years. It's just me now, and there's talk with the winery in Buco and their overseas partners, because they saw the brand and they were very excited. They're very well funded by overseas partners too. And I realize, you one man against the world is a nice thing, but you sometimes you can achieve more with other people's resources, and if you give them some of the action as well, So for me, the dream is to expand, and I've never been to any overseas shows. I've not been to a single overseas wine show. The only wine show, I scraped together all I could afford, and Lars said, it's the cheapest international wine show you'll ever go to Cape Wine.
Wow, okay.
So I put all my money together, and I threw it in there, and I said, I hope this works. And it was a fantastic show for me. And I got my biggest client there, and one of my biggest. But before then, from year one, I had 3 clients that found me online because of my marketing. Because that's all I could do, because I couldn't afford to get on an airplane.
So your advertising background obviously is a major plus point in that area.
Yes, and this is what I try and tell people, that with this brand, with my German client, I was creating pop-up online banners in German, whatever he needed. He would never, my clients don't need to go to an advertising agency at all. They've got one in a box, and that's me, and I create everything they need. They have a secret toolbox, and I give them a password once they become a client. and that password enables them to download high-res artwork of all the artwork, but also the ad campaigns,
Wow.
rep folders, rep clothing.
So you write the advertising copy and everything for them in their toolbox?
Everything. And all the copy on the back of the wine I've written, and anything they need, press releases, I'll write for them.
Wow.
So it's very much a brand. And that's why I realized, I don't need a wine farm. I just need constant supply with a good, strong relationship with the winemaker and wine farm.
So, as we know in any business, the guy that controls the buyer is actually the guy that's going to, build his brand. But I'm just interested, your name, the Fishwives Club, where did that come from?
That actually was, that's one of the things that caught my attention. The girls named it that. And I said, why did you name it the Fishwives Club? And she said, they both said, well, because it's not something you associate with wine, and anyway, the one sister loved fish. She likes fish. So she'd always draw fish. And then she happened to put a lady on the fish. Yeah.
So my thoughts was when you said the Fishwives Club this is a bunch of men who goes fishing and the wives stay at home drinking.
It absolutely could be that. In fact, my Zimbabwean importers, a lot of them said, well, hey, we have a lot of wives that their husbands go fishing all weekend and they're left alone and they drink wine. And that's one of the reasons why it was such a hit in Zimbabwe too. It's like that. You can read so much into it. It's very nice, uncouth name with a very beautiful label. So you've got a sort of a juxtaposition going on there.
So I'm interested in this marketing toolbox. This is such a great idea, and I know it's your secret sauce, so you probably don't want to tell us much about it. But what else? What else do you provide to distributors besides copy and images? And do you provide them with all kinds of social media posts like videos and stuff like that as well, or are you not there yet?
Yeah, no, I've got I got a very good compliment from two American distributors, and they both said to me, Patrick, we import a lot of wine, especially from Italy, and nearly 99% of these producers, we've got to school them in how to redress their brand in social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, you name it, and Facebook and all that. You're the one of the few brands we've ever come across that doesn't need any changes. That we would take it as is.
Well, and that's interesting because that's a big thing in the American market. A lot of our guys have to rebrand their wines for that market.
They're also because the Americans, so Lars also had to rebrand Bayton Blanc to Bayton, and then spell it differently, Bayten, so that they could say it easily. And I said, look, my name, a lot of wine lists don't have pictures at restaurants. They don't have pictures, they just got the name. So the name itself has got to be interesting so that it stands out on the page. My brand is interesting, it stands out on the shelf. But on the wine list, there's no picture. So the name, I'm lucky enough to have an odd name. It's like Fat Bastard. It's also an odd name. You'd order it just because you're curious.
Another great marketing story in that region is Fairview with Goats to Rome.
Yeah, what is the story there? Did they have success in America with their Fairview?
Mm-hmm.
Did they have what success did they have in America?
So no, they've had success worldwide with Goats to Rome. They actually took the French name and then they created this South African brand, and there was actually a court case. And I don't know the whole story, but then they managed to get the name registered, Goats to Rome. And yeah, they're selling it worldwide.
Well, it's amazing. You've got to be very careful. I've had to register my brand in China.
Mm-hmm.
I'm busy trying to register in Europe now. It's just that my German importer registered my brand without me knowing it.
Oh.
And registered it as his. And he says, no, but I need, I need surety that you're not going to go anywhere else. I said, but you can't hold a gun to my head. If you deliver the sales, I won't be going anywhere else, And so now I've got to fight to get my brand back in Germany because he's basically used all my artwork and everything. I can prove that he ordered the wine, which I've got the ship's manifest and the order per beer, before he registered it, and my brand was registered in South Africa a year before he registered it in Germany. So I've been in touch with the registrar of trademarks in Germany, but they don't want to help. They said, well, you must go to court. I said, yeah, but the German, I'm telling you, the Germans use my artwork that I've paid for, that I own, to register this brand as his, and it's not his. So it's an ongoing battle at the moment.
Yeah, it's going to be a hard battle, unfortunately. So yeah, the whole story about, you know, with what the guy from Fairview did was very interesting. He actually got flack from the French because he, you know, his goats de Rome is a derivative of their name. So what he did is, when he went to the French embassy, put all his goats in a bakkie and drove to the French embassy and said he will have to get rid of these goats, or some story like that. And eventually he managed to convince them to allow him to use the brand.
Well, that is something that I'm considering now. Well, I'm sending official snail mail notification to the Registrar of Trademarks in Germany.
You can always send him a fish in the mail. That will rough it up.
A bucket load of old snook, and I go to the German embassy and say, listen, I'm going to dump this on your lawn. And you know, I want to go to the German embassy and make it sort of and then the South African consulate and make it an issue here.
Patrick, where in your international sales, in which countries are you selling? Tell us a bit more.
I'm in about 10 countries now. We have. I started with the Netherlands. She found me on Pinterest. And how's this? Well, most of the clients that I've got are women.
Awesome.
Most that have come, like I'm waiting on Russia. It's a very big opportunity in Russia. She's head of a very big, their biggest grocery chain. But I'll start with it was first the Netherlands, then Germany, and then after Germany it was Belgium, and then Zimbabwe came on board, and then Namibia, and then Norway now. We've also now just recently, then we're waiting to make inroads in Finland, but we have a client that is one of the top importers there. The good news is we just received our first order by the LCBO in Canada, so we're going into Canada with our Sauvignon Blanc in all the LCBO stores in Canada, and then there is China. Just recently, China, which is from last year, from my wineries in Bucharest partner in China, saw the brand and has been badgering Tiernis, and Tiernis said to the winemaker, listen, I would like this brand in China. He said, well, it's not mine, it's Patrick's, you better ask him. And so eventually we said, sure, let's do this in China. And then we were waiting on Denmark, but Denmark, suddenly something happened there, and nothing came through. So those are and I'm waiting on Russia seems to be a real hot opportunity. I'm just waiting for that. But yeah, so those are the countries at the moment. And obviously Luxembourg as well. But I'm looking to start an import business in Florida. I've just come back from Florida in January with the family, and I was just checking out Florida, South Carolina, and Georgia.
So you're going to set up your own distribution company in the States, or import?
No,
company?
I don't want to. No, I'm just going to be an importer, and then make because I want to make the margin as an importer.
Yeah.
It also gives me an opportunity to get residency in America for the family, having a business there. So that's the double-edged sword that I'm looking at.
So are you gonna, if you have residency, are you actually gonna move to Florida? Is that your plan?
Look, it's very hard to leave Cape Town. I mean, this in South Africa, this country you can't beat. Really, I drove through 3 states. Okay, I didn't see the heart of America, but I drove through 3 states with the family in an RV in December, and it was stunning. It was it was lovely. What an incredible country. But you can't find all the beauty in one place that you can here. So my sense is I'd like them to have the opportunity to move there if the kids decide to.
Okay.
So that the door is open. I might move there periodically, you know what I mean? So sort of, you know, half there, half here. But it's a buyer's market in America. I mean, America, it's consumer heaven, and they're not scared to buy and spend money. And anybody can make it in America. And in South Africa, if you think about this, Will, I've been saying, I look at the market and I say to my friends, look, we're like not even 10% of the population. Most white businesses who start don't actually make products for the black market. They should, but they don't. If I was serious about being a businessman, I would be making products for the black market. But most of us are in the white market zone. And once you whittle down the competition to the people that can afford our products, we're probably down to about 4%. And we're all fighting over a 4% market. And in America, you're looking at 65% at minimum. You've got to
Yeah, I mean, if you can convert all the beer drinkers into wine drinkers, you made.
I tell you, and well, I don't need to, you see, because I just want to get their girlfriends.
You're right. So you're the wife thief. The wife thief.
That's it. You know, like I'll go to beer fests, so I provide wine for the ladies.
Just a quick interruption, but I do need to remind you that we are currently in a very difficult time. The South African government has set up a fund where businesses and individuals can donate to support their country through this crisis. Go to the website now and add your small donation. www.solidarityfund.co.za. Please join us all in the fight against COVID-19. That is at www.solidarityfund.co.za. Now, let's get on with the show. So, Patrick, you brand accessories. You know, I see you.
Yes.
I mean, you've really gone into this marketing thing. So, what are the accessories that you provide?
The ones that are most popular are the t-shirts and vests, and they look really amazing. The colors are so vibrant, but the icon itself, the lady riding a fish, it's got an amazing allure. I don't know what it is. Everyone agrees with me. And I wanted to get to the bottom of why did I connect so quickly to the lady on the fish? And I blame my mom. She's Irish, but there's a sort of a psychic ability that runs through our family in one way or another. And I seem to have picked it up and then get ridiculed for it because, you know, I'll read your tarot cards for you, no problem. And I'm sort of insensitive to energy and sensitive to things that, you know, you can't see. And I decided I'd do a deep meditation to find out why the lady on the fish is such a powerful brand. And once I came out of the meditation, I wrote everything down and I shortened it quickly, and I'll read it to you quickly what came. And I was actually very surprised at what came through. So I'm just going to read it to you. This is in my brochure that I've created. And it just says, what does it all mean? The fish depicts the recently past male-dominated controlling age of Pisces, which lasted approximately 2,156 years. I mean, you must understand that this stuff sort of came through a meditation mostly. The lady straddling the fish represents the current liberating female age of Aquarius, the significant rising of the divine feminine, which is an energy that's coming into the planet right now. She is the resurgent dominant power of women on the planet, and that's what she symbolizes. The Fishwives Club Boutique Winery's unique mark honors the new dispensation of woman on top. So what you're seeing is women representing the age of Aquarius. She's on top. The age of Pisces is on its way out, and so she is dominating the age of Pisces, but not in an aggressive way that, let's say, Pisces would have done. Pisces was a very male-dominated era. Lots of war, lots of persecution of women. What you're going to see now is you're going to see lots of women taking top positions, presidents, CEOs, you name it. Women will be taking over and men will have to take a back seat, which is what's happening. And this is what has captured the divine, magical, feminine energy, and its time came at the right time, because it is the rise of the divine energy. And it's not just for women. Men have a feminine energy in them, and women have a masculine energy. We both have both. We have both.
Mm-hmm.
So that sort of, in a nutshell, actually explained to me why it was so positive, and it actually is deeply symbolic. So you've got the age of Pisces as represented by the fish, and you've got the age of Aquarius represented by the woman on top, straddling Pisces.
Awesome. What an awesome story. Now, talking about energy and artwork and meaning of visuals, I see you also commissioned some artwork. Tell us more about that.
Yes. The artwork is every cultivar, every new cultivar that comes out, except the reds. The red wines carry the same until such stage I change that. But all the different brands, I've got 5 cultivars, and each one is a uniquely commissioned artwork that you won't find anywhere else on the planet. And it's just for that cultivar. So Chardonnay has its own lady in fish. The Pinot Pastel, Pinotage Rosé has her own lady. The Sauvignon Blanc, and so on and so forth.
Amazing. Patrick, I didn't see it on your website, but I saw in one of your emails you talk about something about fish in a can or wine in a can. What is this?
Yes, I sent you pictures. You get them on the email.
I saw that, yes, and I was wondering about it.
I was going to launch at Pro Wine this year. It was going to be my first international show in 7 years that I've ever overseen. And all my clients were deeply interested in the cans, particularly Norway. Norway, in fact, wants to order already. They're 250 ml cans of premium wine. It's not cheap stuff. It's really good wine. And I always want to over-deliver on the product. And the packaging is absolutely gorgeous. You know, and we were going to launch that at Pro Wine, but I want to launch it anyway. I think more and more wine buyers are going to just be forced to go online, which suits me down to the ground, because I never went offline. Well, you know, I never went to those.
Well, I want to talk about that. You know, talking now that you mentioned that the coronavirus has forced all of us to rethink our business models, and obviously, online is part and parcel of that. Do you have any other ideas? I noticed your online shop on your website is under renovation at the moment.
Yeah, I had an online shop, but mostly people were ordering from Joburg, and it was a lot of work to make sure that they got their orders, and it increased the price of wine quite a lot. So I decided not to do it because it was a lot of work, and it was more just to satisfy people who really wanted the wine. It started growing really well when my rep had a child. She decided to go, you know, get out of the business, but she was brilliant, and we were growing locally and Joburg like a wildfire. Then I got a new company, South African company, on board, a distribution company and repping company that just were a disaster. They were such a disaster that basically I think I've lost all my local buyers. And I'm having to restart that myself. So, but Takealot has taken me on, and so I'll be available on Takealot. My online shop is great, but you know, I would need somebody to manage that whole thing just on its own.
I think if I look at your business model, you're more interested in the marketing and stuff, which is your personal, you know, expertise. So it sounds to me like outsourcing the online shop or the distribution is, you know, like you've done with your international sales, is probably the way that will work for you in your setup.
It's a very good idea, Will, and I think I'll look at that. It's, you know, also it's very strange. You know, I've been basically almost shunned, except from Spa, like shunned at a local level. The big retailers don't want to even see me. And then they've launched, I know the guys, Ben Wren and the 2 other brands, I know them. They were picked by Pick n Pay to launch Pick n Pay canned wine range. Mm-hmm. And all their designs look very similar. They all look like kind of abstract and crazy, you know. So they actually, when they're all put together, they all look the same. I don't know if you saw it in LinkedIn when Michelle's the wine bar of Pick n Pay, when she posted it. But I'll tell you a quick story about what happened in my year 2. In year 2, I approached Pick n Pay with my rep, and I gave them a kit with the t-shirts and the wine bottles and the pamphlet and everything. And I said, please stock my wines. I know that the ladies of Pick n Pay will love to buy this wine. And they said, well, it's very difficult to get into Pick n Pay. And, can you produce the volumes and all that stuff? Then they said, I'll tell you what, why don't you go to our wine show we have every year at the Oyster Festival, because we are a major sponsor. So I said, well, it says only people who sell at Pick n Pay can go to the wine show. And they said, no, we'll give you a special pass. You can show your wines, and if you do well, if you sell well, then we'll stock you, So you can test it there. So I spent a lot of money, got my reps, piled them, my bucky full of wine, as much wine as I could carry without breaking the tires, put them up in Airbnbs, and I drove up there and spent 3 days at their wine show and I hired some promoter girls with the t-shirts, a local promotion company, a lovely little promotion company in George, run by a woman, and she got her girls dressed in my gear, and they went around with bottles of wine for the 3 days of the wine show, and while we poured the wines, and we were the only brand, we did very, very well. We sold a lot of wine, and we were up against the famous brands, like the famous brands that you'll get at Pick n Pay, like the big names, Nornkop and all those guys, and Creation and all them. They were there, and at the end of the show, we were the only wine brand to have our pictures taken and put in the Neusner Herald newspaper. No other wine brand made it in there, just us, with a picture and write-up and everything, a little sort of caption. And then the organizer of the event, the wine event, came up to me at the end of the show, and he says, congratulations, you're a newcomer, you're a nobody, no one knows who you are, where you've come from, but you've attained the 4th highest sales of the show. So I went, wow, that's amazing. He says, yeah, for a newcomer that is. I mean, you're up against the top names here, and people in, this area, they know their wines. So I was very excited. I thought, great, this has got to be, me in at Pick n Pay, And so I write and I give her a report and said, we're so glad to tell you that we did this. We were the only people. Here's our picture in the newspaper. We're the 4th biggest wine sales at your show. We really knocked it out of the park. And then she just said, no, we're taking wines off our shelves. Thank you for taking part. Maybe we'll consider you next year. And I've been asking them every year, and nobody wants to talk to me. It's like I smell.
Well, that's
overseas.
That's maybe not a bad thing.
But if you go to the Netherlands and you go to Belgium, I'm famous there. I'm a cult brand.
Amazing.
Do you know that in Belgium, there's a place called De Vleeshalle. You can see them on Instagram. It's a big food hall. I've sold so much wine there every week that they decided to dedicate every Sunday called the Fishwives Club Sunday, because they're selling over 480 bottles of wine a Sunday afternoon of the Fishwives Club.
Well, that's amazing.
But my club, nobody here in South Africa wants to even look at me.
So, I suppose things can always change, especially now with what's happening in the market. I think, branding is going to be so much more important. And I would love to talk to you a bit more after the show about a few ideas I have. But let's. I've got 2 more questions for you. The first one is, what is the most important thing that you learned from your wine journey?
Let me think about this for a moment. It's you know what? It's kind of summed up in my quote that I emailed you. I wanted to try and encapsulate in my mind what, if you looked at the odds, right? If you really were smart and looked at the wine industry, you wouldn't get into it. You wouldn't launch a brand. Thank God I didn't look at that. Thank God I stayed naive and ignorant, if you want to call it that. I purposely did not want to do a sommelier's course and then become some know-it-all about wine. I wanted to stay true to my customer, and my customer is Miss and Ms. Jones. And also my brand appeals to the millennials too. It's not all dusty and some 10 generations of Van Tonde. you know, who's had, you know, 200-year-old vines and all sorts of other stories. Not that there's anything wrong with it. That's the art of winemaking. But you know what, at the end of the day, when you're drinking wine, you're not really thinking about the art of winemaking. You're thinking about the art of enjoying yourself with good friends and having a great time. And you want to enjoy a very good, classy glass of wine. And what came to me was that quote, and I put it together in words, and then eventually now that's kind of what I want to actually put on my stuff, on my website. And that is, you know, when you don't know what's possible, then anything becomes possible. And you know,
that's an awesome quote, I must say.
Thank you. And then because I ask people like, well, what do you sell a year? And they go, well, you're doing very well if you're selling X amount of bottles a year. I don't want to hear what is very well, because if I tell you what I want to be selling a month, then I'll have people rolling in the aisles, particularly the seasoned, you know, winemakers. They just laugh at me. But it's important. I've seen it happen in my industry in 30 years of watching brands grow. Don't take on other people's limitations in their view of limits. If you don't know what the limit is, if you just go in and you believe in something, you can create miracles.
I totally agree with you. So Patrick, on that note, can you give us your very own, I mean, you've given us your philosophy here, so which is good. I'm gonna steal that and quote that. Use your quote in the blog post we're going to write about the Fishwives Club, if you don't mind. But
please do.
Also give us your very own wine quote, or your favorite wine quote.
My favorite wine quote.
If you have one, otherwise invent one quickly.
I'm gonna invent one of favorite wine quotes. You know what I want to say is, don't listen to the wine experts. You are the wine expert.
That's
because
awesome.
You're the one bringing it. The experts, that's their palate, that's their tongue. You want what is important to you. So don't listen to the wine experts. You are the wine expert. You're the one buying it. You know what I mean? Your money is just as good as anyone else's, and that's why. You know, I don't think anyone should be snobbish about wine. And I would have I didn't tell you where I started. I started, you know, delivering every single bottle myself in my little bucky. I had a little Chevy bucky, and eventually couldn't carry the wine because it was too dangerous. You know, you couldn't use the brakes. If you put a pallet of wine on, the thing just cried. So I had to get a bigger bucky to carry it. So that I took as a sign of progress, even though I was going into debt again. And I delivered, if you could find my wine in a restaurant or in a bottle store, it's because I personally delivered that myself and went into the back and signed off on the papers, and I did everything myself, my little bucky, and it became a nuisance. And I would have people stopping me in the street, asking me with my embroidered shirt, where did you get that shirt? It's so beautiful. And no, literally, that's what people would do. They'd stop me and ask me about that. And then at the end of the day, I decided I needed to find out what people truly thought of my wine. So I started I went to the Stellenbosch Slow Market and got a little stand there. And there were other guys with wines, and I met him. Became very good friends with a young winemaker called Ryan Winders. He's making his own wine. The best Pinotage, the best Shiraz I've ever had. He's an incredible young winemaker. So we became friends instantly. But I sold there every Sunday and listened to what people thought of my wine. And I'll never forget who came over. I didn't know who she was. She had an American accent. And it was her two sons that tried my wines, then went back and grabbed their mom and brought her over. And boy, did she give me a drilling. She was like, what is this? Second barrel, third barrel, what is this? What fill is this? What is that next thing? All these technical questions. I said, ma'am, to be honest, you clearly know far more about wine than I do. I'm a bit of a Philistine when it comes to wine. It's my new brand. I created it. I leave the winemaking to the experts. It sounds like you know what you're talking about. Are you in the wine business? She goes, Yes, I am. And at this price, you're crazy. That means you'll be up against, Iona. You'll be up against, our brand, this brand, and that brand at this price. And I said, so what's wrong with that? Do you think it's worth it or not? And she wouldn't really. She'd go, I don't know. But, you're new. You need to come in lower. I said, I don't want to, because if I come in a little bit lower, then you think I'm cheap wine, and that's not what I am. And it turns out, she was she was really putting me on the ropes there. And his son's like, geez, Mom, give him a break. It's a great brand. Don't you like the brand? Look at it. It's like so beautiful. She goes, I'll give it to that, but I think the name's a bit uncouth. And her name, I found out, was she was she's Canadian from Warwick Estate. What would her name be? From Warwick.
Norma Radcliffe.
Norma Radcliffe, that was her.
Yeah.
but these, and then I was surrounded by other winemakers, famous people. The owner of Kanonkop, who had a wine tasting for Red Dawn, this new tannin that I've been involved in from the beginning. And I said to the Arno, the chemist who was basically putting it together, this tannin, I said, the moment you can make it flavorless, you're onto a winner. If you can't, it ain't gonna work. And eventually they made it flavorless, and now it's like, it's the new tannin from South Africa. It means you can say no added sulfur, and it's a product by Red Dawn, by old R44. What's his name? R44 Market. He's Audacia. I've got his number. We became good friends. But he, the reason why I'm telling you all of this is that, starting out not knowing anything, I didn't want to become too knowledgeable. I'll leave it to the experts to do what they do. My winemaker is very good. Now I've had to get his, he was very adamant. He said, no, wine in a can won't work. I've been trying to get my wine in a can for 3 years. Wow. And only this year did he finally say, okay, Patrick, let's look at this. Let's maybe do it.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's where we are. Okay.
Tell our listeners, how did they get hold of you? How did they get hold of your wine? Where do they find you if they're looking for you?
We're like I said, local market. I'm having to completely start over again with the local market to get back into the mainstream. You'll be able to get my wine on Takealot at many spas. I'm in Cape Town. I'm around at spas. You ask the manager, they'll order it. You can order it from Norman Goodfellows, but they can get hold of me through my website, because you obviously can email me from my website, and all the social media, Instagram, follow me on all those things, and Facebook, and I'll keep you abreast of all the new things that are happening. We also do all our own ads, and I don't know if you saw any of these ads, you'll see them on my website.
Patrick, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I'd love to talk to you again in future. Thank you so much. Thank you for supporting our show. If you would like to get more exposure for your business, please have a look at our sponsorship options. Thanks again for supporting About the Winelands. Please follow us on YouTube and on our social media channels. All details and links are in the description.